My name is Love, and your life is going to change. You want me to be there, to be there. My name is Love, and your life is going to change. You want me to be there, to be there. My name is Love, and your life is going to change. You are going to be different. You are going to be out. You are going to be bigger and larger than ever. Imagine the impossible. And do you know why? Because just you and I will find the power that's been dormant inside of you all of this time. And all of this time, you were afraid to go out in the world. Look at me, the things you will be the shout. You will be the God. When God is the and you will be the one that everyone turns to and says, hey, look, they're there. The master's there. The teacher there. The truth there. No one that will make my life different. And if I can do that, remember this kind of stuff. I'm here to help you. I'm here to change your life. Your life will no longer be this and be together. I'm going to cover your world. Before you know everything you imagine possible. It's not possible for one simple reason. Anything is possible. My name is Love, and your life is going to change. You want me to be there, to be there, to be there. My name is Love, and your life is going to change. You want me to be there, to be there, to be there.
And welcome to another program called Uncommon Sense. I'm Dr. Mel Gill, and every evening we discuss many different things. So far, it's been wild. We haven't been very structured, and for a reason. Well, that's because everything I'm doing right now is not very structured. There are literally about 15 projects that I'm running at the same time. And then I talked to a friend today who was actually going to be helping me put a lot of things together this afternoon after I ran the program for Charn from Thailand. He had, I think, an hour and a half with me, and we were talking to about 900 people about what was going to be things that would have helped them in terms of what they needed to pay attention to be able to get closer to this idea of wealth, which I didn't tell them directly, but I told them they needed to focus more on abundance than they would need to focus on wealth per se, money per se, because abundance can come in various forms. You could have $1 billion and still feel poor. You could have $10 or $100 and feel very rich. So it all depends. It's a state of mind, the flow of abundance, and so on and so forth. So in a very indirect form, I took them through that, and I hope they benefited and learned a lot from that. Let me welcome some people into the studio. Suba. Welcome, Suba. Well, good to have you back here. Lawrence, welcome. Noraini, welcome. Here to you too. And Cassie, Malinka, welcome to, and Joanna, welcome to the studio. Tonight, I know we were supposed to be discussing focus, concentration, and memory, but instead, we're going to put that off for another time where I can give it to you in a more structured form, something that would help you in the long run. Exercise 1, exercise 2, exercise 3. The format of this program so far has been freewheeling. More or less, we seem to be discussing topics as they come up and people as they need questions answered and so on and so forth. Then I suddenly realized that when I ran that radio program some years back for 7 years on radio, it was 2 hours a night, 5 days a week. I spent most of my time paying attention to a lot of questions that were coming in. It was maybe 25% of the time I spent discussing mental health, which is a very, very big concern. When you take a look at success and people are driving you forward or making you feel less than enough so that they can sell you their products and the this and the that, what suffers is the non-attention that is put on your mental health. Everybody talks about your physical health. Great, fantastic, that's good. But what about the mental health? What about the psychological health? What about the emotional health? And so these are things that will cripple a person. I mean, you've known of that Hong Kong singer who amassed a fortune of $600 million odd 10 years ago. At that time, a lot of money. And unless you live in Singapore, it's really chump change. But that person threw himself off a building and with the intention of killing himself. So again, happiness is not found in money. Money does solve a lot of issues. Money does take care of a lot of the problems you don't have. Money does give you more choices and better choices usually as well. But it is not the be all and end all of your existence here on the earth. You may come across a position or a time when you are feeling lack. Then what happens? You don't have to be strong all the time. You can be vulnerable and still live a very, very healthy and perfect life. You can make a lot of mistakes and still be a person who has something valuable to share. You can be a person who has failed numerous times and still be an expert in something. So it doesn't matter to you if you start to accumulate all of your vulnerabilities, all of your inadequacies, all of the I am not enough statements in your head, which other people convinced you of this, then what will happen is that there's a part of you that will not believe anything that you aspire to do anymore. Why bother? Why bother doing this when the same thing will happen to me? Why bother doing that when the same thing will happen to me? Etc., 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 etc. So I want to talk about that today, and the focus, the memory, the concentration thing, bring it out in a very structured program that you can follow. So let me welcome a few more people into the Judy, welcome. Onchad, welcome. Tan Onchad. Evelyn, welcome. My mother is watching. Mamji, welcome. And she hates to be called madam. Yeah, just to let you know. She's my mom, going strong. Today, I had to take my father to the hospital to get his blood checked, and that, they have to do a fasting blood thing and all of those kind of things. And then we finally got back. He had to have his liver scanned and his heart scanned and all of that. So it's a normal thing. Ashok, welcome as well. By the way, if you want to be part of this show and chat, today's topic. So since we're not doing that, what are we going to talk about? Well, I'm going to answer your questions, and they have to be real questions that affect you. If you give me generalities, a friend of mine has a problem with then I can only give you back generalities. But if you give me specifics, then we can come to a solution to the problem that you are grappling with, and or the issues you're grappling with, and then we can find resolution together. Also, at the same time, I want to moot an idea past you guys. See if you're interested in this. Keegan, I've been talking to Keegan about it, and another gentleman on WhatsApp who's running a program. I forget the name of the program he's running, something to do with the paranormal. And since I have been trained in a lot of the science behind paranormality, if you can call it that, and paying attention to this, to what is more scientific than going into the fantastic, finding a plausible explanation for something before we go into the fantastic. How many of you would enjoy a program that I would begin with, say, Keegan and a few other key people, witnesses, quote unquote, around the planet, that are dealing with things paranormal, things that have to do with mind power and abilities? Maybe even talk to some of the monks who were my friends who trained me in Tumu Yoga, and a few other people. How many people would be interested in something like that? If you are, how would you say yay, yes, in this? Just type in yes, say yes, and that would give me an indication how many people would be. Uh, so Judy, when you say me, do we want to study you? Okay, me is fine too. I'm just kidding. Judy's paranormal by herself. Okay, good. It sounds like it's a unanimous yes. And how many of you, as you say yes, would like Keegan to be my co-host on that? I remember that I put together a book a long time ago called Incredible Tales. We had limited distribution of that book. We produced maybe about 3,000 of them, and I think we gave it mostly away. I have barely 100 or 200 of those books left. Incredible Tales, it's all the real stories of ghosts in the area and hauntings and what have you. And then, of course, after every story, as is in the program, yes, Keegan would be amazing, I think. And since he's a director, producer, he'll come on later, but he'll probably be interested in taking charge of some of the things we do and maybe the way in which we do it. And maybe we can run it here on this platform or some other platform and have a whole story, 45 minutes of discussions and this and this and that and telling you what is real, what is not real, what mental health issues are involved, and sometimes how powerful the mind is, that we create hallucinations simply because we want to, because we cannot accept the reality that we have, and so on and so forth. So I was doing that for 7 years as well on radio, on television. So I was having a little bit of an itch to get back there, but this time, instead of focusing only on ghosts, I want to focus on psychic abilities. I want to focus on psychokinesis. I want to focus on the ability to remote view, maybe even create courses out of it that you can use to go from level 1, which is barely beginning, to level 7, which is you can see everything in the world. What does that mean? Does that mean you become an intuitive person? Kinda, sorta, not really, but we'll talk about that at some point. And then maybe part of today's program, while I'm waiting for people to come on board to chat with me about this, I can talk to you about what's involved with and why you're interested in that is because we always know that there's something beyond us, something beyond what we see. When we look in the mirror and we tell ourselves, is this everything? Is this our reality? We look at our families, we look at our children, our parents, we look at our friends, we look at the world around us, and we say to ourselves, this cannot be all of reality. This cannot be life. You don't wake up one day, go to school, get inculcated into a way of thinking, indoctrinated into a way of thinking where everybody has the same haircut, everybody has the same rules, everybody has the same exams, everybody has the same books they have to read, everybody has to memorize. And then when they finally come out of these exams, they, depending on how well they do, they fit into the bell curve. And the ones that fit into the bell curve are okay, a normal society. And the ones at the top of the bell curve, well, guess what? We give them positions of power. And so it becomes a meritocracy. And we've made meritocracies normal without realizing that we were measuring intelligence on only one scale, the WISE scale, WEISS. What if we measured intelligence on a broad spectrum, the Goldman scale? What if we created a series or battery of tests to measure all 9 intelligences? Musical intelligence, spatial intelligence, mathematical intelligence. I mean, we have so many different forms of intelligence that you have no idea. And if we expect a fish to be trained to climb a tree, well, you have something else happening. You're going to find people who are artistically inclined, unable to do the simplest of tasks in science, and people who are scientific in their method cannot draw anything worth a crap. So you have different facets of people that we haven't explored yet or understood, and yet There are a lot of people telling us we can do it. You are immeasurably powerful. You're this, you're that. First of all, school damages you. Then come all these motivational hoo-has to undo the damage. And, you pay me $5,000 or $8,000 for a quantum shit program, and I will be able to make you this again and that again. And less than 10% of the people even become anything close to what they imagined they would be, but still they want to be able to do that. And where does this all come from? The innate idea that you are much more than the life you have been living. That you grew up in school, indoctrinated as you are, you come out with a piece of paper that is worth the literally toilet paper because you can't get jobs. So what if you got the degree? Where are the jobs? And where's the life that you were told you could have if you had this wonderful piece of paper? And so as you come out in society and get more depressed because of the situation in society and how people compare themselves with each other, we start to see magazines, newspapers, the motivational hoo-ha companies that tell you, look at this guy. He's made hundreds of millions of dollars, and so therefore we must emulate what he does. But there's only one Elon Musk. There's only one, what's the name of the guy that created the whole Virgin thing? He's not a Virgin. Branson. There's only one Branson. There's only one Gates, and so on and so forth. Have you seen many others similar? Not at all. And they all have their own different ways of doing it. Some of them just go, how did I become a millionaire? Well, I listened to my mother. Then I ate a certain kind of plant. Then they're all telling the stories about how they did, but you try to follow those steps and you probably will not reach anywhere near that. So we have all of these internet hoo-has that's telling us now that if you take this thing and you run this program, you're going to make this much money from Amazon. You're going to make this much money from God knows who, and you'll be da-da-da-da-da. What do you have to do to it? You pay me $5,000 and I'll be able to teach you my whole life story. So when I went through all of that in 1990, I decided, well, actually 89 in New York, and I launched it later. It's called the Master Trainer Program. 1991 till now, I told people this. Look, you want to make a lot of money? Very simple. Take up the world of training, of teaching. You see, the scam, it's not really a scam, but the way in which they make money is this. Here comes a options trader that tells you, I made $1 million off option trades, come for my course and I will teach you how it's done. Why do you even bother holding a course when your options thing is making you $1 million a month? Because the money is from the course. And so people pay $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 for a 3-day program, and there are 100 people coming in. Now, 100 people paying $3,000 is what? $300,000 per weekend. Who is getting rich? The teacher, the trainer. So bit by bit by bit, you can even teach yourself to become such a great international teacher that you can take it. This is all I've been doing is creating trainers. Some of them have become multimillionaires. Some of them have become just millionaires. Some of them have become thousandaires. Some of them have become better trainers in their groups, in their schools, in their homes, and even in their offices. So what am I saying with all this? Very, very simple. That you have gifts and talents. And now that you cannot go out, you cannot sell these directly to people, you have a level playing field, which is the internet. And on the internet, a person who is making $200 a week appears the same as a person, as a company making 200 million a week. So you see, there's no difference there. If you do it carefully, then you'll be able to tell a lot about life. I'm sorry, I was distracted, but yesterday passed away a good friend, and for a split second, no more of him. What? You mean somebody passed away? I'm so sorry to hear that, Malinka. That must be very, very tough to deal with. Um, was it from COVID or was it just something else? Well, she'll tell us in a minute. So let me come back to the point. So what I wanted to do was to be able to create a series of programs that would help people get back on their feet. But I no longer want to do live programs with people. I no longer want to travel from place to place to place to place unless there is a need to, you ask me to come and I will come and do whatever I need to do, but there'll be certain stipulations, and it will be for the foundation, my foundation, the one that I'm running. So what I want to do is to be able to go into the depths of Africa and the middle of Asia and places where people cannot afford to pay ludicrous sums. $3,000, $5,000 to attend big rah-rah things, but to be able to come in and quietly learn a skill that would make them better speakers, formidably talented folks who will be able to showcase their talent in one way or another. Perhaps you are a counselor, like our good friend last night, Suba, who wants to be a counselor. I have a feeling that might change a little bit. Her heart's in the right place, but you don't just need your heart in the right place. You need your mind also in the right place. You are walking your path. You've been walking your path from the day you were born. Somebody says, I can't find my purpose in life. Well, guess what? There's an unconscious part of you that already knows your purpose. Today, Charn, who ran the entire group, was asking me, what was the difference that made a difference for a lot of people? I want to know about meditation, define meditation. I said there are two kinds of meditation, where you meditate with a goal in mind. You meditate and you're visualizing what it is you want to have. A quieter mind, a more powerful third eye mechanism. You want to be able to create opportunities. You want to be able to see them coming, and so on and so forth. But instead, as I told, here he is. We talk about Charn, and here he is. Charn is here. And so there's a big difference. And the big difference is that when I told these people, the big difference is this. There is visualization and there is meditation. And what is the difference? The difference is simple. You've got a bus, and you're in a bus with, let's say, 30,000 people. Okay, that's a big bus. So you go up to the front because you want to give the driver instructions, and you find out that there's no driver. So you become the driver, and so now you're driving the bus to a destination. Now, if your conscious mind is the size of this coin, if roughly the size of this coin, your conscious mind, your unconscious mind, your subconscious mind is the size of your entire house or your entire block, if you live in a block of flats. The entire block that you're in, if you're living in some grounded property somewhere, and who knows what that is. And so you now have the responsibility for taking that 30,000 people in your bus towards a particular destination. So when you visualize, you have a certain amount of stress and you have a certain amount of doubt. Am I going to be able to make it? Am I on the right course? Is this what we're going to do? Do I have enough fuel? Fuel being the metaphor for enthusiasm. Do I have enough passion to take me to that end? And so on and so forth. Now, what is meditation? Well, same bus, 30,000 people. You're in the front, but you don't have a steering wheel. What the hell? What do you mean? Each and every one of those people in their seats, the technology has shifted. They each have a steering wheel. They each have the control in front of them. So wait a minute. you are heading to a destination, and you don't have to worry about where you're going to, because the 30,000 is taking care of all of that. Well, that's the relationship between your conscious mind and your unconscious mind. So your conscious mind can only focus on one little thing at a time, but your unconscious mind is literally 30,000 times more powerful than this conscious mind can ever hope to be. It is aware. It is remembering everything it has seen, everything it has heard, everything it has felt, everything it has smelled, and everything it has tasted. It also knows beyond the visual spectrum of light what it sees, and what it knows is there. It knows the temperature, the ambient temperature of a room, but your conscious mind is not paying attention to that. So why would you let that lead your entire life? And that's what meditation is. Meditation is going into a state of mind where you just simply don't think about anything. You just let it go, have zero compulsion to create a thought. I mean, I didn't say no thought, because it's impossible to have no thought. You have a brain. But to be able to generate zero thoughts, zero usefulness. Look, there's 15 minutes has passed. I'm not being very useful. No, you are. You are amazing, because now your unconscious mind, just by your sheer meditation, will take you in the direction of your goals, your direction of what you are destined to do. This is your destiny. It is going to be there. The simple thing you have to pay attention to is what it means when people say, ask, believe, and receive. It's so simple. But once you know the true meaning, then everything changes. Everything changes in this existence, this life that you call existence. Example, what does it mean to ask? It's a mistranslation in the Septuagint, which is the original Bible, translated to Hebrew, and Hebrew to every other language. In Hebrew, the word ask has a connotation of claim. It is your right. Claim. So claim as if it is yours. And the second part of that equation is to believe. Believe means that this is mine. This is really mine. This is my right to have this. And so therefore, you start to remember who you were in the world before people told you, you can't do this. You're good for nothing. You're hopeless, helpless, useless. All of that begins to fade away when you remember who you are in relationship to your destiny, and in relationship to what you can make happen in the world. Are you powerful? Yes, but only one person can convince you that you are, and that's you. Even if the world has made you feel less because of your failures, because of your ineptitude, because of your losses and everything else, doesn't matter. That you would even have a belief in yourself to take yourself forward, that you would continue to believe in the stuff of your dreams. That is what will drive you. Even if you have to hear all the things that people say about you, you are just bow your head. And if you can, go into a meditative phase and say, I have to go through this. It's no choice. This is what, because they cannot see your dream, your want, your goals, what you are capable of doing, what you're meant to have. So knowing that, don't seek for, verification of your goals and dreams and desires. Stop looking for vindication from people who say, don't you think it's true? And they say, yes, it is, and so on and so on. You don't need to be validated. Your dreams, your goals and stuff, it's not necessary. Only you. So ask, claim as if it's your right. Believe and know that it is coming. And then receive. What does receive mean? Receive means that you have a sense of expectation. You know, the reason I told Chan today why when you buy a $2 lottery ticket, and you don't win that 20 million that's up for grabs, is because what you do with the lottery ticket when you buy it is that you put it in your pocket, or you put it in this pocket, or you put it under the goldfish, or you put it somewhere else. And then you may win. I hope I win. So you take a look at your lottery ticket. This is a lottery ticket. And you look at it and you go, I wish I was. It would be so nice to have that $20 million. It would be so good. Oh, okay. And then you put it where? Next to that rat trap that you just bought, and so on and so forth. But if I wrote you a $20 million check and I wrote it out to cash, now anybody picking up that piece of paper will be able to spend it. The banks are not going to be open for 2 days. Where would you put it? You would put it close to you, right here, because that's a certainty that this piece of paper with that $10 million check, my signature, will be able to turn into reality for you when the banks open and you trade the paper for the value. But you don't believe that will happen from the lottery tickets. But you do believe, and you see that. So that kind of receiving with the expectation, it is coming. I don't know when, but it's on its way. Faster than you can say Joe. Do you know what I mean? So it's a little bit different. So when you have all of this, then you are stirring the water. You are now starting to let people know you exist. You send off ripples and waves, and then the world begins to hear of you, and then you start to become this powerful human being to be able to create. Now, what does this mean in terms of things like intuition, psychic ability, the ability to look beyond the immediate, the ability to know that this is your destiny, it's on its way? Well, stay calm. CTFD, calm the fuck down. Just relax. Breathe. It's going to be okay. Everything is going to be fine. And you're going to get to where you need to go. So I've missed a lot of things. I'm so sorry. So many questions came up. Let me get back on my rant in a minute. Manifestation, watching. Yes, no, yesterday, hey, Chan, welcome. Vivi, welcome. Malinka said, it was just physical malfunction, very surprising, am strong, and keep searching. What's more in this existence? I'm sorry again, my sincere condolences. Expectation, the power of distancing, I am, and observing without expectation. Tamana, welcome to the program, and Shirley, welcome to the program as well. So again, when you start to realize that you are much more than what school has taught you, what the people you surrounded yourself, your family, friends have taught you, and it doesn't matter who loses faith in you. If you lose faith in you, then you lose everything. And that's part, Anju, welcome to the show, of self-love as well. You see, when we start to believe other people's lives, that we are useless, hopeless, helpless, we no longer love ourselves. So self-love has a lot to do with not because you don't have outer love, so you must have self-love. It's not a consolation prize. It is the first prize. Someone says to me this afternoon and says, hey, I can't find love because I think I don't love myself enough. So why would you want to love yourself then? Well, because then I'll find love. No, that's not a good reason for doing it. When you want self-love, it's because you realize how much pain you have allowed yourself to go feel. You allowed yourself to go through all of the disasters, all of the shit people in your life, the people who take what is yours away from you, your trust, your money, your time, your emotions, everything. And then, why? It's not your fault. They're just shits. Now, when you start to stop being so hard on yourself for doing that, and recognize that sometimes you are surrounded by thieves and morons and idiots and so on and so forth, then you begin to realize that nothing good can come from outside to save you. Only you can save you. So if you can save you, you put your hand over your heart right now. Put your hand over your heart right now. And the one thing that's been with you all this time is your heart. Feel your heartbeat. Through thick and thin, through dramas and through all of these things that happen to you, your heart keeps beating. And through all of the pain, your heart maybe had beaten. My English is dying. Your heart beats faster at that point. And then with all of the pain and your face is hot and everything, and you feel the squeeze and you feel the tension when they hurt you. You feel it as well. When they take from you, you feel as well. And you trusted these people. And it's like, okay, time to let it go. And then keep putting your hand on your heart. Do this every day if you can. I do this a lot. Quietly, of course, so that people don't think I'm funneling myself. But and I do this, and I keep telling myself, "Wow, you're amazing. You're amazing." I'm not trying to lift myself up from any kind of depression or anything of that sort. I just tell myself, "You are amazing. The fact that you even think that this is possible is amazing. You're not an idiot, obviously. You can carry two sentences and put it together, obviously, and." My God, maybe you just need to give it that one last time. Maybe you need to get off your knees and dust off the dust of having fallen and try again and try again. And this time with something a little bit more different. Maybe this time with some help from somebody else. Maybe this time with someone who can give you a model or a framework from which to begin. But all of life is like that. I don't know who told you it's going to be so easy. If you look at the billionaires and trillionaires in all of the shit magazines like Fortune and all that seem to elevate these people to the level of gods and put them on a platform, and you should emulate these people because they are hoarders of wealth. And because they hoard the wealth, we should be like them. Have as much as them, have the same kind of cars, the same kind of houses, when they fleeced all of that from you. I mean, look at that, the world's richest man. How? Well, bamboozled IBM, first of all, and gave them an operating system that he only licensed, and IBM, whoever made that decision with him, should be shot. They agreed. And after the license wore out, well, guess what? You'll have to pay. And so they went off and developed their own system, which failed. And by then, every computer system on the planet is now ransomed to this mega billionaire. It doesn't work like that. Okay, he's done a lot of things for charity and so on and so forth. So yes, that's okay. That's fine. Our job is not to pull people down because they've achieved some degree of wealth and status and what have you and all of that. That's fine. That's fantastic. That's their thing. But the woman or man in his tiny flat, the 2-room flat that accumulates all the newspaper, from everywhere. You walk into their house and there's piles and piles and piles and piles everywhere like that. I remember my aunt and uncle's house would be like that too when I was growing up, but not with newspapers, but other things. And these people are the same, except the piles of dough and cash are in their banks. That's no different from hoarding. If they were to put it out there and to help as many people as possible, all of the billionaires of this planet gave less than 0.5% of their wealth to a group that would help the entire planet. There will be no more poverty for the next 20 years. There will be no homelessness for the next 20 years. There will be no child dying of hunger in the next 20 years. But now every day, 20,000 people die from hunger, let alone COVID. So Why did I go there? Because I didn't have a moderator in this room with me. What I wanted to say is that you are powerful, and that you somehow allowed the world's values to become your values. And you allowed the people to convince you that more wealth meant that you were validated, that you were powerful. No, it doesn't. More gratitude does. If you are happy with $100 that you have, wow, then you're the richest man in the world. If you have no needs, you're the richest man or woman in the world. If you have no desires except every day to be of service to others and to help as many people as possible, beginning with your immediate family and then going forward with everybody else, wow, what needs do you have? What must you achieve? Oh, and people make comparisons with you. Oh, but you're not this guy and you're not that guy. You're right. You have a keen eye for the obvious. That's fantastic. I am this guy. And if you'd rather be with that guy, then go ahead. Makes no difference to me. So you see, you have to pay attention to the fact that you have given yourself less credit than you deserve. So what I wanted to say to you is that, let me tell you a story, and then I'll take questions from everybody. Once upon a time, there was a prince. The prince was very lazy. The prince did not want to do anything that the father would tell him to do. The prince was 18, 19 years of age, and the father would tell the prince, you need to study diplomacy, because when you become a king, you will be a great diplomat. The king basically said to the son, you have to learn economics, macroeconomics, microeconomics, so that you can run this country very well as king, and you be able to make our coffers strong and big and so on and so forth. But the prince didn't want to do any of that. He was a guitarist. He loved to play guitar, and he was talented with his guitar. He could play songs, and he composed songs, and he would play this wonderful song that he composed that would lift everybody's heart and make them feel light. Now the king was always very angry with him, and finally one day when he came in there, he said to the advisor, where's my son? He's supposed to be studying with you on matters of state and what to do and so on and so forth. Oh, he's in the garden, sir, your majesty. He's playing the guitar. So the king had him pulled in front of him and said, I've had enough of you. You will make a lousy king. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to banish you. You don't deserve to be king at all. So he took his advisors and told him, send him 1,000 kilometers from our kingdom and leave him there. The advisor was a bit upset and like, are you sure, your majesty? Yes. And if you question me, you can stay with him. And so took him off. In the distance, 2 days later, he reached the end of the kingdom. He dumped him in a village over there. And here was the prince. He hadn't worked a day in his life, didn't know what to do, and he was stranded, and he didn't know how to get back. And pretty soon he was getting scared. And so he sat under this particular tree and just had his guitar with him. And that's all he had was his guitar. And a few days go by, he started to get hungry. He had no money. You see, in the palace, everybody gave him food and shelter and everything else. He didn't have to think of anything else. He hadn't had a shower for 2 or 3 days and hadn't eaten at all. And so finally he saw his very nice clothes. He started to take them off and picked up some dirty clothes and rags that he put on and sold his expensive princely clothes to people, and he started to eat. And the money bought him food for another 2 weeks, but after that the food ran out, and he was getting really hungry this time. So he sat under the tree, and he did the only thing he knew how to do was to soothe himself with his music. So he played his guitar, and as he played his guitar, people started gathering around him because the singing was beautiful, and the words were literally uplifting, and the music and the guitar playing was superb. And so people started giving him little bits of money, a little bit of food, a little bit of this and that, and pretty soon he learned how to make a living playing guitar, and so he was no longer hungry. Years go by, 10 years go by, and the king is now really dying. And so he shouts to his advisor, go find me my son and bring him to me. I don't think I'm going to last very long. I want him to take over as king, as rightful heir to the kingdom. And so the advisors and all the other people in the palace went round, left, right, 1,000 kilometers this way, that way, searching for the prince, but to no avail. They could not find the prince. And one day, about eight or 9 weeks later, the advisor heard a familiar tune, and from a village as he was driving by. It was riding by. And next thing you know, he get all his men together. He said, let's go see what that is. And he heard the tune, and he saw a person playing guitar underneath the tree. And this person had a beard, and he was scraggly, he was dirty, his hair was in mats and everything else. And he looked at him, he didn't recognize him. But the song was exactly the one the prince composed in the palace and sang. And so the advisor went up to him, and he was very close, within 2 feet of him, said, Your Majesty? And the man was shocked. He said, what? I don't know who you are, and I don't have any money. Don't steal it from me. He had forgotten who he was. And so the advisor explained to him the story 10 years ago. Your father exiled you from the kingdom, and He told him the whole story. And soon, as he started to hear the story, bit by bit, the prince suddenly realized and remembered who he was. His posture changed, and he just stood up with his chest out and immediately realized the severity of the situation. His father was dying, and then realized who he was, a prince. And he summoned his servants. He said, find me a hotel nearby and bring me my best clothes. And I need to have a bath. I cannot see my father like this. And so he went off, and in the hotel, they cleaned him up, and soon they put on regal gowns on him. And next thing you know, he was the prince again. And he rode into the kingdom and took over from his father. You are descended from royalty. You are descended from the Most High, a piece of God on this earth. You are regal. You are royalty. After living and struggling in this shithole called earth, you've forgotten where you come from. After being surrounded by a lot of people who told you you were much less, you have forgotten who you were. And as this happened, a part of you started giving up on your ideals, on your goals, on your lofty ambitions. Somewhere along the way, you allowed other people to tell you you were nothing, no one. Somewhere along the way, you started to give up. I'm here to remind you who you are. You are much more than you can ever hope to imagine to be. You start to remember where you come from. And the minute you do, ask, believe, and receive. It is yours. Always has been. You just have to give yourself permission. So, recognizing this, we think we are weak, but our strength will continue if we allow ourselves the courage to feel fear, to feel scared, to feel weak, and to feel vulnerable, but to push forward anyway. And that's the basis of courage. Danny, welcome to the show. Charian, welcome to the show. Keegan, finally here. And Malinka, you're most welcome. So anyway, so what I told them, Keegan, if you're still listening, that you and I need to sit down and talk about the outline of a paranormality show. Maybe we'll call it that, paranormality. And we'll start to create something that addresses the powers of the mind, everything from unidentified flying objects to all that sort of stuff happening, and so on and so forth. If that's something you want to do, everyone says yes. We had Cassie give an absolute double yes, so it was always good. Hey, Danny, you want to come on the show and say hello for a second, just for fun? It's been a while, and we miss each other all the time. But what I'm gonna do, it's so idiot simple, Dan. You see a link if you're listening to this through Facebook or YouTube. You'll see a link. All you got to do is click on that link. I will see you here in the background, and I'll bring you on, and we can say hello, and we can talk about my friend Dan and I hardly ever meet here. We meet in places like Bangkok or the city, not the noun, and we'll meet in places like Bulgaria, Romania, somewhere, but never ever in one place here. Dubrovnik, of all places. So Dan, come on, say hello to your friends. Cassie is here as well, so it'll be fun. Cool. This was the 360 camera shoot I was talking about yesterday. Great, I'll come to that. If I turn that on now, I will probably lose this stream. So I will keep it on this stream for the time being. And why not uncommon normality? I guess it's okay. Then there would be uncommon normality is like an oxymoron in a way. It's a little bit tough to imagine that. Uncommon reality. Now that would be interesting. But maybe it's too common to use uncommon. So the link is above you, Dan. It's about like I said, 4 comments above you is a link. It's from me. It says https://streamyard.com. So it'll be fun. So we'll start to do that as well. How do I get it? Just click on that thing. Just click on that. Just click on it. It'll bring you into my background, and I'll pull you out. You help me by clicking on it. I will see you on the edge of the boat, and then I'll pull you onto the boat. The metaphor. Are you on your phone? If you are, it should be easy. If you aren't, it should be easier. No option for failure, huh? This man, Dan Tarter, well, while we're waiting for him to come, on FB can't see the link. Okay, let me do it one more time. You'll see it right there. Do you see it? And it's posted by me. I see it here. There you go. It's there now. It's directly after you. It's in the comments. It's in this stream, in this what do you call it? Stream flow of comments. It's directly, maybe about 3 down. You see it. Good. Excellent. Get out of live, click on comments, then click on can't click it. She says you have to get out of the live, and then you can click it. So you'll have to do that. So stop the live, like stop watching the live, just hit on the comment. He's a dentist, so you have to give him time. It's a little slow. Just, I can hear the words he's using right now. And he'll soon say it on the air as well. So, Dad, if you can't find it, find an adult. you help you with that. Dan's one of my closest friends. He knew Varna 20 years before I did, and he's and we would sit there, and sometimes we are each other's advisors about the things we need to pay attention to or not pay attention to, and I think Varna has a new meaning for him now because we're there. My son and I, Luke, we both have this wonderful affinity. My son can't be on this show because he's always up until 3 o'clock in the morning in New York, and he's never up until more or less 11:30 or 12, and so that would take us to midnight. So it wouldn't take us anywhere. Any luck, Dano? No. Other than clicking the link, there is no other way that you can get on. I'll do it one more time in case you missed that link, so that you'll have it. And by the way, if anybody else wants to come on board and chit chat with me as well, what I decided to do was next week onwards, I will start to run maybe 2 lives, more or less, a week, and leave the rest of the time to create video that we can put into these slots, these uncommon sense slots and such have you, so that we can start to create these wonderful learnings that you can follow in a very structured way, and then it'll be very, very good as well. And so if you have something you'd like to share, something you'd like to teach everyone, because everyone's a teacher. Remember, I'm not the only teacher here. Sometimes I'm the teacher, sometimes I'm the student. And so I know that any form of teaching is always a two-way exchange. And this is the Socratic method of teaching, and you'll be very, very interested if you want to come on and teach. Suba just said, I can come on again if you'd like. Oh, so sweetheart, so nice of you. It isn't that I need somebody on because I'm so lonely. I cannot function without somebody. It's not that. It's if you have something to share, something you'd like to help people with, a perspective, a piece of wisdom, things like this, then please come. By all means, it's open to everybody. Ashok to Daddy to Cassie to Keegan to everyone who wants to share. Really, I'm not kidding. So I in fact, I would run this show like that, the lives, because that would make more sense. Why would you run a live anyway? If it's just for me teaching, and then nobody can do that. Can't get out of live if I click the comments. Link not clickable. Really? That's very funny. I think what you need to do, Dan, because this is on a Facebook page, you want to just come out of that section in Facebook. You know how they have it, where you are no longer watching the live. And then you'll see the comments. You just want to extend the comments down below. It's only about 4 more down from where you are. And then from the outside, just click it and you'll be able to. Or take your, copy that whole thing. Copy that whole thing. To make it easier for you, I'll put it up one more time. Copy that whole thing. Cut and paste it on a new page, not Facebook, a new page. And that way it will take you directly to this show and it'll be a lot of fun. I did that and live pops out. Oh, really? How cool is that? Well, it's not really the live, it's me actually. That's correct. The live is me. This is what you're going to watch. The live pops out and then you want to, it says enter studio. So hit the enter studio at that point. Yes, we can talk about Anunnaki and Enki as well. In fact, let's do that. Keegan? Why don't you educate everyone, Keegan? I suspect you know more about this than you're letting on. Why don't you come on and tell us about what you know about the Anunnaki and the Enki, and why people are in the know do not want the world to know this. Our origins, who we are, where our DNA points. So you're most welcome to come into the studio and share. Remember, we can have up to 4 people in this studio, we found out. And so that's very good. Oh, okay. Try again, Danny. Cassie says, it didn't work and now it does. I think it's the lag because it's worldwide. Richard, welcome to the show again. So Keegan, come on board. Tell everybody who come into the studio and tell everybody who the Anunnaki was. That will give me time to drink my water and watch you teach other people. Because eventually I think you can lend your voice to a lot of what you are doing, like Morgan Freeman style, be the narrator of many an episode. It will be a lot of fun. And here we have Danny.
Eventually, hello.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, how are you?
Very, very good. You finally figured it out.
I figured it out. I had to type it by hand on my other phone, but it worked. It worked. That's
Awesome.
the other phone. Okay, great.
Awesome. Where are you, in a taxi?
No, in my car in Bucharest. So I just stopped the car.
Yeah.
Because I said that's a good show, so let's get online. Let's talk as well.
Very cool. Good to see you. Good to see you. And you're keeping safe.
I am fine here. Hello, everybody, by the way. And probably we should celebrate that in some parts. The lockdown is easing a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So I think that deserves a little celebration, definitely. We should always consider the small things that happen to us. In the bad things, sometimes good things happen afterwards, and we should celebrate them.
Yeah. You're not talking about your wedding night, right?
Well...
The small things that happen to us. Actually, I'm a little bit worried because you know how the Spanish flu was, right? In the first wave, 2 million people died and were affected worldwide. In the second wave, 50 million people lost their lives because they got relaxed. When I called Maria, you remember Maria from Bulgaria?
The cream, face cream, Maria. Yeah.
Yes, the face cream. She was in a picnic with a lot of friends, and none of them had masks, and they were all sitting very close to each other. And they said, "Oh, we can do this now. The law has allowed us to have picnics here, and the park is open." And I said, "Holy crap! You're acting like it's gone away by magic because some government said it's okay now." It's not.
I am very surprised. This is such an interesting topic, Mel. I was thinking about the same. I'm so extremely surprised how unconscious, because basically always we talk about consciousness, unconsciousness. That's life, right? We have two sides of life. And I'm shocked to see the unconsciousness of people out of a lockdown of 2 months. They follow through laws consciously. But on the other side, there is a subconscious which is looming underneath. And as soon as the conscious side is released, means the lockdown is down, the unconscious side comes up, which says, fuck it, there's no virus. But the virus is real. It was and is still real. So at least people should wear masks. Now, what is shocking me beyond that is seeing Asia, knowing Asians, knowing Chinese, how they are used to masks. Since the first time I've been in China, 2006, I was seeing running around with masks when they had a cough. taking care of others. And here in Europe, exactly as you say, all over, people are not wearing any mask at all, as if masks are useless. So now it's like a doctor goes and does a surgery, a heart surgery without a mask. It's exactly the same. The patient can survive, but he can also die.
He can, yes.
So it is a bit weird what happens in Europe, and I see people are on the streets, they are doing sports, no masks, you know, the distances are small, and it's all over. In Spain, the same. I was asking my employees, it's the same story all over. And I think the masks, and it's proven that they are very helpful to prevent others. And if two people wear masks, of course, the incubation is much smaller. The chance to get the virus is much, much less for everybody, for the whole society at the end.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I was told, maybe you can tell me if this is true, you being a doctor and all that. By the way, everyone, Dan's a dentist, and he started off, you know, wanting to fill cavities for and thought he could help a lot of people to do that, and so he decided to become a dentist, and now he's filling out mental cavity and telling us a lot of things as well. But I heard that when you breathe, your affectation, your breath goes as far as 2 or 3 meters. Is that correct?
You see, you have to. This is a very interesting question. You see, you have to see yourself. Have you seen people smoking, for example? Have you seen the smoke, how far it goes?
Yes.
Now imagine while I'm talking now, I'm like a spray bottle.
Yeah.
It's like I push each time I open my mouth, there comes like a huge force, and I'm spraying the environment. It's a kind of aerosol, yeah? And I'm spraying the environment exactly like a hairspray. Let's say for the ladies, if they ever used a hairspray or so. And this is exactly the distance which we are able. The problem is not the 2 meters. Now, the very small particles, in case I have the virus, they remain somehow in the air. They are spread through the wind, another 1 meter, 2 meters. So it depends a lot. Imagine if you have a mask, the aerosol are particles. Somehow they get stuck to the mask in theory, right? But at least they cannot stuck to the mask, because if I'm talking through a mask, this aerosol cannot come out of my mouth, right?
Right.
So I'm not spreading it in the air, at least not in far distance. Maybe at 10 centimeters, it comes on the side. Look, I will give an example here because I have a mask, and I think it's so important. I observe people not wearing the mask right. So you see, yesterday I was out to take a pizza, takeaway.
Wait, where are you? Which city are you in? Tell everybody which city
you're in. I'm in Bucharest now. I'm in Bucharest, capital of Romania. So I will show you how to wear a mask, because actually it's common sense how to wear a mask, but I see people, they have no clue. Okay, just a second. I will put on the mask. So, if I am talking, first of all,
there
this
you
needs
go.
to be
Now the banks recognize you.
I went to paint it black. I couldn't find a black one. Now, the only way that aerosol comes out would be here through, right? From the sides, because that's the least closing. Now, if I wear the mask, like, let's say, let me change it like that, you know?
Right.
Well, I'm talking. Still, here comes out stuff. Here comes through my nose.
Yes.
And the guy yesterday was preparing the pizza with the nose, you know, and somehow you sneeze out. You know, the respiration. I mean, I didn't really feel comfortable, so I said to myself, "I'm not buy a pizza."
You're not gonna buy the pizza,
So the mask is only this way. Now, can I be a spray bottle? If you put a spray here behind and you try to spray it, nothing will come out.
Right.
So I'm not contaminating the environment.
Right.
If you wear the mask, you are not contaminating the environment. And this is why masks are so important. Unfortunately, the WHO at the beginning declared that masks are useless.
Yeah.
And well, as a doctor, I think everybody knows that masks are not useless. But the WHO is double-sworded, right? Because they could not say anything else. Otherwise, masks would have disappeared even earlier.
Sure.
So it was
somebody was comparing breathing, the virus and everything, to peeing. If you were to pee without trousers, like without a mask, then you would hit the people around you. So you put your pants on so that you will pee only inside of your mask, of your trousers. But if somebody else were to wear trousers as well, then it's doubly guaranteed that they will not get any of your pee at all. It'll be inside of you and it will not go past the mask and it will not reach the other person. So that's how it's safe. I mean, I had to make that analogy for stupid people who didn't understand about the breath. And they go, really? How's it like pee? I said, yeah, it is. It's carried by the air. You mean, but what if I'm downwind from the guy? Then you always will be running around the guy, you know?
But when you are holding seminars in let's say in Siberia, how can you do that? Because they don't pee. They have ice cubes falling down.
That's true.
Probably that's why they are more secure there, right?
Because that's why. That's why James Bond has his shaken, not stirred. So is everybody now walking around without mask and freely available to do that?
It's crazy. It's crazy. Let's say so. There is a very interesting thing here, which I've heard over a month ago. They say that people at young age, they got a vaccine against tuberculosis. And apparently even in US, in Australia, in the Netherlands, they started to see if this vaccine works, because they're a little bit surprised that there are not so many cases. I mean, many Romanians, they are a little bit like the Filipinos for the world. The Romanians are working abroad, many in Spain, in Italy, in UK, so they should have imported the COVID into the country. But it's not very much. So it could be true that this vaccine that they got when they very young age, that it helps somehow against the COVID. And it's in research now, but I haven't heard since a month about it. It's all in universities around the world. So 4 universities are studying it. Otherwise, yeah, people have gone back to life just like normal, like there was never ever anything. There's traffic jam in the city. It's actually a bit scary, because what would be the reason for the virus not to spread now anymore? What did we change?
It is still there.
Actually, it's worse because we have more cases than 3 months ago.
Yes. Right? Yeah.
So
just for everyone listening, there's Bulgaria, and beneath Bulgaria is Turkey on one side. On the other side is Greece, and Danny lives in Romania, which is the country above Bulgaria, and he's only about 5 hours away from me when he drives down from Bucharest, and we have
200 kilometers.
200 kilometers.
Only,
yeah.
We're crossing border.
Is the border closed or is it open now?
Border is closed. Friends of mine wanted to go to Sofia, but it was closed so far. I'm not sure if they open now.
Okay.
But I guess it's still closed. They will open in June, I think. You see, all the governments are trying now probably to follow one another. So they are looking on one country opening up, let's say a major country, and then they follow through. It's more now an economic measure.
One positive in all of this, Luke, who is stuck in New York right now, my son, your buddy, he now appreciates Bulgaria 1,000% more.
I can imagine.
He cannot wait to get back.
Varna is beautiful. It's a gem. For whole Europe, it's a gem. It's in comparison. I love the city. That's why I've been so many times there.
Right.
It's such as an energy. You know well.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. We're still exploring the energy, and one day I'll get unlazy and start writing about it. But tell us about the economic impact and the conspiracy that's coming, because I noticed your post is actually like a small novella. Your post is not short.
My posts are huge, and what I also suppose at the beginning I posted, and somehow I think more people got to read it, but then I was reading that Facebook is down, is playing you down, so less people can see the posts. Of course, they don't want to, because they are spiders. So the spiders are looking for COVID, for crisis, for keywords, and these electronic spiders, they are looking through the Facebook posts of the people. And of course, if you write a lot, it will not. First
Sure.
of all, it will reduce your audience. Okay, to come to the economic crisis, well, there are more factors, look, 2000, we have to compare everything what happens now, first of all, to 2008, because we have a memory. So somehow we went through, we were reading newspapers along the years, we were listening to whatever people were saying. Now, let's face it, so right now everybody's trying to get back to what it was. What I presume, some countries will be more able to go to what it was than others. So it will be a little bit country dependent. But one thing which I see very clearly, what will happen, the same distortions in the market as 2008 will come. So what were the distortions? First of all, you have an economic downturn. Unemployment rate logically will grow. It did already. So through unemployment rate, it will affect the housing market, because unemployed people don't get a credit, a mortgage. Now, let's say that wouldn't be a problem. People can then stay in rent or whatever. What is if they can't pay the rent anymore? So we will have a real estate problem. The real estate problem is actually a problem of the banks, because now the banks, they don't generate money anymore. If they don't generate money anymore, well, there will be bank closures. Remember 2008, 2009, I was living in Spain at that time, which I still am in parts. I abandoned Spain because it never recovered since 2008. Still, my business runs well there, but I cannot say for Spain that anything recovered since 2008.
Right.
And there was a huge banking crisis, so it was a banking bailout. Now, all this money printing, which is for the banks, which is for the airline industry, which is for the tourism industry, it will benefit as it did in Spain in 2008. And Spain, I take Spain because it's corruption is actually rampant, but it's a legalized corruption. They wrapped it in a very nice form. So we will have, which is in US the same in the end, we will have all over the world bailouts of the big companies, of, let's say, the bankings, the aviation industry, everything. But the people, the real people, which are fucking the 99% till today, because we are living in a two-lane, I will come back to that immediately, two-lane economy, the people will not be bailed out. To give you an example, I haven't given any aid by the Spanish state. Nothing. Zero. Nada. Romania, well, the same, but apparently Romania with a very, very low tax level, it's not a problem. But if you have to go on paying taxes and paying social security and everything for 2 months, and then you go to Russia and see that Russians get 1,000 euros extra payment as doctors, and that they get their wages paid all these 2 months, 3 months including. So without freezing, you will see that there is a government that takes care of the 99%, means the people, because we are choosing our governments, and not the 1%. And the problem is what I see right now, since 2008, the rich became richer because they've been bailed out. There are zombie companies that should have gone bankrupt, but then they said, too big to fail. They didn't go bankrupt. The same will happen now, accelerated, because they don't know anything else. Why? I tell you why. Let's say a huge company can dismiss 10,000 people, a corporation. Well, I cannot dismiss 10,000 people. I can dismiss 5 people in one country, right? So do I count? No, fuck him. He can go bankrupt. But this is a very bad calculation, because like me, there are, let's say, another 80% of the, maybe not 80%, but of the entrepreneurs, are 85% small, medium sized. They are not huge. So if you say to them all, fuck you, they close down, or half of them, they cannot survive. And then you have the same problem like you would not bail out a huge corporation. Right. So what I see right now, the corporations are the problem. So We'll have a banking crisis. To repeat it, we will have a banking crisis. We will have this time corporations that will go bankrupt because there's not that much money. And later on, we have to have inflation. Look, after 2008 has been a very heavy inflation, but not on the streets. What do I mean by that? Not in bread, not in water, not in the supermarket necessarily, not necessarily badly in the rents. But if you are looking at cities, at major cities, all over, the prices in real estate exploded because these are the expensive assets where the banks, rich people go into. Share market went up a lot because when you print a lot of money, somehow this money comes into hands of some people.
Yeah.
And these people need to invest it. So where do they invest it? In a Ferrari. If you look at Ferraris, the price which it was 2008 and today, and how many years these prices never went up, and suddenly now some shit old Ferraris that nobody wanted till 2008, they have exploded in price. And I'm not talking about Ferraris, everything that's expensive, from arts to supercars, through real estate, to stock market. That's rich people's assets. So they have been in rich people's hands, a huge inflation, right? Because that's what rich people invest in. That's where the prices went up. So they kept the people low. And this is why I say it's a two-lane society, because they kept the people quiet, the poor and the middle class. Because today a doctor and a lawyer is a fucking poor. It's not nothing special. People think, oh, he's a lawyer or a doctor, they earn more, or he's a dentist. That's bullshit. Don't catch the people around in your neighborhood. Go and try to sit with George Soros. Go and try to sit with Bill Gates. Go and try to sit with whoever corporation got built out or whatever. Even Trump. Trump was so many times broke. Yeah. You will never get to talk to them. So most people then are looking at the poor people that earn a bit more.
So what advice would you give to us ordinary folks who are not the Trumps or the Gates or the Soroses of the world? What advice could you give us about making it through? I take care of people's emotions and mind. Tell me about the money.
Okay. Okay, no, very good, very good. Okay, so my advice, and because I try to figure also out, you can go on YouTube and find all kind now of clips and stuff like this, how to do money, start a business. I don't think it's a great moment to start anything, not even online. It's not a great moment to sit down and just wait. That's definitely the wrong direction. What I would do, first of all, because this is always in crisis helping, and I remember I've been through many crises. I'm 45 now, so and I've been in different countries, in crisis in different countries, so I know they are similar. I would reduce costs. That means we are having too many costs for kind of bullshit. Okay, you cannot reduce costs that let's say it won't help you if you save €3 or $3 a month. I mean, you will become probably a millionaire in a billion years, like that. That makes no sense. But we have costs, like some people have somehow a second car which they haven't sold, and maybe it's still insured, and you pay insurance. Maybe the insurance and plus the taxes and everything sums up to $800 a year. That's thrown away money. Then we are having bad habits. I mean, we were saving anyway, not spending money. I would, for now, do a cost control, adjust myself, get out of debts, especially if somebody's in credit card debt. I don't know this from Europe. I never heard about it, but apparently in US this is pretty common. So somehow get out of this debt trap that is eating you a lot of interest rate, means money. That's what I would do first. And then second, I mean, if you have a job, stick to it, get better at it, offer your services. Because you see, I'm watching my employees right now, and I'm wondering, the psychology is very interesting for a company, or let's say a company owner or business owner, because you have to watch your employees. Your employees may be used to good times, that they can go earlier home, In my case, I send them earlier home. Fridays they work half day, then they got an extra
Mhm.
14th wage. Then they, even sometimes when things went very well, I sent them home. So freehand. But what happens now? Do they go the extra mile? Look, companies right now need the people who go the extra mile. So if you have a job, and this is not because they try to take advantage of you, they really need it to maintain themselves and to sustain employment. So this means if you are working in a company or in whichever business, go a little bit the extra mile, do some 10% extra work, be more friendly if you are in the service industry, put some extra work in what you do. Don't look up like, oh, let's see what government says, let's see, because you may lose your job.
Okay.
So this is one point for the people who have a job. Not losing the job, you have to be competitively better than the rest.
Be invaluable. Become invaluable.
Yes, or raise your value at least,
And
and even if
curb
you compete with others.
and curb your spending, and don't be so much of a consumer and starting to buy things unnecessary.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Discipline is so necessary. You see, and both things which I said right now, they depend on discipline. Means to go the extra mile, you need a new discipline idea, a new pattern of how you live your life.
This
10% more of work.
this is the same advice I gave the people this afternoon when I was running a seminar in Thailand
Oh,
from here.
okay. Excellent.
900 people for about almost an hour and a half, and telling them exactly the same thing. What I didn't tell them, and maybe you can help us with this as well. So if they have some money, a little bit, where should they invest it in now?
Very nice question. Very nice question. Look, well, if we take these common things like, let's say, uh, stock market. The stock market now, bullshit, because it can drop at any moment. You
Mm-hmm.
see, I was playing a little bit with oil, and I did a mistake, and I must admit it was my mistake because I was distracted. This COVID story made me sleep little, and I was distracted. I watched the movie and I forgot, and this is to my shame, so unprofessional. I forgot to put a stop loss. So, my oil went up. So I played, I bought, I sold, I bought, I sold. There are apps you can invest.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly it went down like fucking hell. And then it went so much down that from I just played not much, but still it's money, you don't want to lose. I played 800 euros, and from 800 euros, the next morning when I woke up, because I forgot to put the stop loss the first time, I was ending up with 300. So, you have to experience through pain. It's my fault. It was unprofessional. I recovered the losses recently now because I knew oil will go up again. And well, this is not a thing. Either you know what you do or you don't. This is like a game. Oh, let's put some money there. So I would avoid stock market. I would avoid commodities right now because the economies are really burnt all over the world. I would basically avoid all investments. We don't even know what happens with gold. People say, oh yeah, gold will explode. Listen, gold is the best investment in the world if you look it over the years, but we are not talking in cycles of, we have to look in terms of cycles and inflation related. We have to look it over 50 years. Yes, gold did grow all these 50 years. It never stopped,
Mm-hmm.
but it's inflation related. If you look now, you want to go into gold. Well, what does it do in 1 year? Maybe it goes to 1.8, maybe it goes to 1.5. We don't really know what happens, and the markets are manipulated. So I don't see investment right now. Maybe we can certainly discuss related to what I would do. For example, if the stock market would plummet another 50-60% from here where it is now, probably that's the moment where it hits the bottom. You see, all
Right.
economies worldwide always recovered. So we recovered from all the pandemics, from wars, from whatever. I mean, a war is even far worse. This was nothing. This was actually an economic crisis that was triggered and would have been triggered anyway this year, no matter of COVID or not, because that's a problem, a systemic problem. So what I would then invest, because it's a break time of investments, a real investments, except if you want to invest in gold for the, let's say, for the next 5 years, to be sure, in 5 years, for sure, gold will have a different value. There is another thing, the spread between gold and silver is right now huge. So it's never been so huge. So people are thinking that it's the time for silver to pick up and to get closer to gold. So silver is in a rapport in relation to gold far too cheap. It's actually historically the lowest value. But the problem is silver is also used. It's an industrial good. It's a commodity that it's used in everything, in cell phones, in industry. And right now all is crashed. So that's why it's probably low. So I would also invest in silver. But again, if you have a lot of money, you don't know what to do with it, you have 5 years to wait, that's definitively a good thing. But if you want to get something out now, I don't see anything that could benefit in any way.
So
I mean, let's say real estate, for example.
You're gonna do what Warren Buffett is doing. Sit on a pile of cash and keep it that way, liquid.
Well, look, my assets are right now in real estate because this is what I love. You know, in the end, that's what I love. I'm interior designer deep down in my heart. I like real estates and I like quality and good looks. So this is
yes.
where I'm sitting in. Now, am I hit? Look, my rents, I had to give 2 months, like 30% off to one person who asked me. Because I asked the real estate agent and she says, yes, people did that. So I did a 20+%, you know, between 20 and 30%, they reduced the rent. I find this just socially correct, you know, because I know the people, they are working hard, great, they had investments and they were hit hard. And so I reduced the rent. Now another guy who has a 200 million fund, a real estate fund, is renting one of my apartments out. And the guy was asking me, Dan, can you help me out somehow with the crisis, somehow, you know, to cover my expenses? I said, okay, I mean, this guy's super rich, you know, I know him. And I said, okay, I pay you the expenses because he's not here, he's abroad, you know, he's in another country right now where he's coming from. And so I said, listen, I cover your expenses, the monthly expenses. So that means it's like 80 euros per month. That's not much in a report to the real estate he's renting out. So you see, we have to be solidary. And the problem is, how many people are really solidary with the others that need it? I mean, the guy doesn't need the money, but I find it fair. He asked, I gave it to him. Another one didn't ask me because she's getting everything paid by British American Tobacco. So these companies are very cash rich. If they would be broke, you know, or reduce somehow the rent, I would understand. But cigarettes, you know, that sells. Sex, drugs, rock and roll. That always sells. So they are not in this.
So let me ask you.
I would invest, sorry, just short. Yeah. I would invest in health, personal education, listen to shows like you, like the one of you, because there's so much value into it. There's so much thing that you can learn. And I think that's the most important what you can do now. This is what I did in 2008 and I made a fucking new life. It took me more years than I planned. I'm slow. My brain is fast, but myself somehow left, right. I'm too slow in doing things.
I've heard a lot of women say that. Yes.
Okay. So I made it after 2008. Actually, I made my my independent life. So that's what I want to say. But that was because I was listening to shows like yours, like, you know.
Let me ask let me ask you a personal question that everyone can relate to. How does Dan Tartar, how does he keep his morale high? How does he keep positive through all of this? What are the things you're doing that someone could emulate? Your thinking, your feeling, your thoughts?
Well, I love your questions. They are so spot on and so important because you see this is actually, you're just asking the most important question, most important things. I miss that sometimes on when you look on what people tell. You see, I also tend to tell about myself or how I did it, but the questions, and yours are fantastic. Just to tell you,
Does that mean
congratulations
you're
for this.
not going to answer that, or?
I will. I tell you how. I'm observing my mind.
Okay.
So my mind wants to bring me down. Okay. In
Okay.
my mind, I'm observing the voices all the time. And I know in 8 years, let's say, personal development, somehow trying to do it my own, I observed my mind, and the mind is always fucking us. So it brings us, oh my God, what will happen? In my case, it doesn't go there anymore because I shut it down immediately, but it still tries to trick me. It brings me into moods where I'm a kind of careless, I sleep much too long, I'm not really taking care of myself. I'm eating maybe healthy, but I could have done exercise. I did a little bit for a few days. So, and the mind, what it does, it shows you that you are not good because you don't have discipline. Once you prove yourself, you don't have discipline. So this is a big problem. The mind, you have to observe your mind. And in order to trick the mind, what I suggest to people to do is to wipe off all the calendar and have a daily task what you want to do and freaking follow through. So I think also to follow through, and if you don't, to punish yourself. That's my version. So I'm really pissed off on myself if I don't follow through things. But before writing that down, it must be clear that I will not forgive myself for not following through. And that brought me up. It's like you take yourself here, you're down, and you push yourself up again, and you go straight. And now things suddenly start anew, and now I can focus on things. So I distracted myself with all kind of nonsense. At the beginning, I was writing a lot because I love to write. So I was somehow testing my writing skills on Facebook about economics, politics, everything. And I know it will be right. And the time will show. 3 years from now, when Facebook will show me on my timeline what I was writing, I will look back. Did it happen? This is why I wrote it. It was not for likes. It was also for sharing, whoever wanted to. So you see, you can distract yourself. But now the lockdown is going down. Now it's time to take measures, and it's always personal measures, because if you change your personality, things around you change, and maybe new opportunities come. If I don't have discipline, I let myself go 2 months, my brain in 2 months is fucking differently wired. I will be like a vegetable. I don't want to do anything. Well, fuck it, doesn't matter. Not even traveling, I would give up everything. This is the very, very, very bad attitude. So idea is exactly in that time, we will look back and we will see, oh my God, why didn't I do some sports? Oh my God, what the hell did I do with 2 months time, which I had? I killed it. They will never come back in life. And in that time, we could have grown. We could have done something useful with the time to prepare when the lockdown is down, because then we will have the trouble. But with a healthy mindset and a stable mind and discipline is always important. Discipline is a habit. Once we have that, I got very immune, and a little bit of sense of observing the mind when it starts to go into negative bullshit, because 90% is not true. Probably 100% is not true, I always say. But yeah.
And speaking of vegetables, do you like ladies' fingers?
Yeah. No comment. Next question.
I'm just asking, that's all. Okay, good. Daddy, thank you so much for your valuable time.
Big pleasure. Big pleasure.
This whole week, I'm going to be running this from 4:30 onwards, Romanian time, for about an hour and a half. And I want to thank you for being part of the show. And maybe later on, if anybody has any other questions, for Dan right now, now is a good time to ask while he's on the air. He cannot see except through StreamYard. But if you have any questions on Facebook and all, please shoot them up here, and I will ask Dan, and he will answer it. He is now in Romania. The capital city is Bucharest, which is about 5 hours from where I live, which is Varna. And he's about an hour from Dracula's castle. Is that correct?
2 hours. 2 hours.
2 hours
2
from
hours.
Dracula's castle. I want to spend a night there because
We'll do that. Oh yeah,
we have to. We have to.
Yeah, yeah.
Then we can see what it's all about. I still have not had a chance to come to Bucharest. Can you believe
We'll
it?
do that. Yeah,
I don't even know what it looks like. But more and more,
Varna is so beautiful.
Varna is too beautiful to leave. Yeah, and people don't realize it.
Yeah.
And I wait until everybody leaves. September, October, then I come, and that will be a good time. It's just empty as hell.
Exactly.
I look forward to seeing you there again, my friend, or in Malaysia or Singapore, wherever we are.
Okay. I'm checking out now. Okay, and well, if people want to comment something,
please,
I can always answer, no problem. Yeah.
Jackie Gonzalez from Chicago wants to know. Oh, are you the Jackie? Okay. Wants to know what's your Facebook.
Oh, Danny Tarta. DANYTARTA.
Let me type it up there so you have it. Danny.
Yeah, I will type. Danny Tarta.
The capital city is Bucharest. And you can tell that he's a dentist from his last name, Tarta. That's what he gets rid of.
Well, a former dentist. I exited time ago, but still somehow am into it in a kind of.
Yes. So, ladies, if you want your cavities filled, this man can do it for you. I mean, no, I'm talking about here, your teeth.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
what else? Fingers, ladies'
what
fingers.
Else? Adios, my friend. We'll talk soon.
Okay, bye. Thank you very much. Bye. Take care, everybody. Bye.
So that was Danny Tarta from Romania. And this brings us to, oh my gosh, 11:13. How time passes when you're having a lot of fun. It looks like sometimes we're so wrapped with attention, and especially if somebody's talking a lot of sense and they're talking about things that matter, that hit you in all of the areas of your life. Judy needs an implant. Well, I'll let Danny respond to that request, and I'm sure he will over and over again. Where was I? Oh yes, and so as a result, you have to pay attention to your financials. You have to pay attention to, if you don't have much, then conserve as much as you can. Don't go out buying this, that, left, right, and center. Only what is necessary to take yourself forward into the next area, into the next area, into the next area. Now, I suggest, and this is something that's coming from me personally as a advice to everyone. This COVID crisis has pointed out something that's important. And the thing that's important that people don't pay a lot of attention to because their lives are so busy is that we all have issues with mental health or mental health struggles. And the COVID crisis, if it doesn't affect your health, physical health, the health of your lungs and all that, you now begin to realize as you are in isolation, as you're in quarantine, as you are dealing with your significant other in close quarters, when before you had the safety of work to get to disappear, the beach, wherever, and now you have to face each other, domestic violence on the rise, divorces on the rise, and affairs continuing, etc., etc., etc. All it's pointing to the fact that this world is going to suffer a mental health crisis in the next 6 to 8 months. And this is probably the area in which, if you can help, like Suba, who's now learning to be a counselor, if you can help people and somehow create a course that would help people, first of all, have a background. Just say, I feel that you should do this, it's useless. It's like a president trying to prescribe a drug for the entire country to have. So it doesn't make any sense. So again, I appreciate Danny for doing what he did and to give us the time of day and to make it possible for us. So tomorrow we'll begin again our program, Uncommon Sense. We'll broadcast at 4:30 p.m. Bulgaria and Bucharest time, and 9:30 p.m. Singapore time, 9:30 a.m. New York time. I said before that sometimes people hide their weakness until a outside agent like Corona hits us and then unites all of humanity against one single enemy. The enemy is not so much the virus. The enemy is greed. The enemy is people taking over your rights. The enemy is the misguided notion that to be successful in life, you have to have a lot of money. It's not necessary. To be successful in life, you have to be happy with whatever you have. I'm not talking complacent. I'm talking about be happy with who you are. Be happy with all of the positives as well as the negatives. Be happy with the bright side of you and the dark side of you. And begin to notice that the more you embrace these opposites, that they neutralize each other. That at some point, a part of you needs to close your eyes, center yourself, and ask yourself, what is important to me? And who am I in all of this? What am I in all of this? And my response to the people around me, and my family, and my friends, and my society, that shows the greatness of who you are. That shows what you are capable of doing. And some of you will rise to that occasion. And some of you will just sit there in fear, not knowing what to do next. Well, the next step after COVID is death, because that is looming, that's coming. And before it does its final swing on you, ask yourself, what have I not done yet on this world? Why am I holding back all of the fear? Why am I trying to be positive all the time? Why am I afraid to embrace the negative part of me? This is a prayer for the ages. Our strength will continue if we allow ourselves the courage to feel scared, the courage to feel weak, and the courage to feel vulnerable, and acknowledge that. In fact, it helps to define weakness in spiritual terms as any habit of mind or heart that prevents us from seeing things exactly as they are, or in their entirety, or with our entire capacity to feel. And these are the blindnesses that continue to keep us from truth, from oneness, and from compassion. You ask me to open your third eye. My question to you is, what do you want to see that you're not seeing yet? We're all frail. We all make mistakes. We all fall prey to 1,000 emotions and exaggerations, but these things make us rich, not weak. If we are willing to face them squarely, they begin to disappear. Their power dissipates. In truth, it is not the tissue of our humanity that defeats us, but rather our refusal to accept who we are and to live accordingly, all our limitations included. Underneath it all, this blindness in its many recurring forms is the cause of most of the cruelty we see happening in the world today. For it is during these moments when we think we see so clearly that we break things that are irreplaceable, not even realizing that they were precious to begin with. After breaking many things in my life, hearts, heirlooms, birds' eggs, I am humbled to admit that the only difference I see on earth between being strong or weak is the honesty with which we face ourselves, the honesty with which we accept ourselves, and the honesty in which we share ourselves. Totally, blemishes and all. This is why this program was put together. This is the crux and the meaning of Uncommon Sense. I want to thank you for spending 2 hours with me. Have a good night, and by tomorrow, the world will be a completely different place from today. And you wake up, you'll say thank you 3 times, and then you will say to yourself one eternal truth: today has never happened before. It's a new day to sing, to dance, to show the world not only your bright side, but your dark. To show the world not only your brave side, but the fearful side. To be able to express to each other, hey, listen, we're not that strong. Sometimes we are weak and we need a hand. Good night. Good night, everyone.